Retargeting is one of my favorite topics to discuss. It's a great marketing tool that you can use to really expand and multiply your impact. And at 5Q, that's what we're here for. Our mission is to help nonprofit organizations like yours multiply their impact. So the big question is, how do we convert website visitors into avid supporters, right? A recent study has shown that only 1% of nonprofit website visitors joined an email list, and just barely better than that, 1.1% actually completed a donation online. So the challenge of converting website visitors into supporters, into donors, is a really big challenge. And today we're going to discuss just one tool that you can use, retargeting, to improve your conversion rates. So what is retargeting? I'm just going to give a brief history of retargeting, a little bit about what it's about, because it may be something that's not familiar to everybody listening here. So retargeting has been around for quite a while. It actually got its start with DoubleClick before they were acquired by Google, all the way back in 1998. They created a service called Boomerang, and what it did is it tracked visitors on your website and allowed you to run ads to try to bring them back to your website. It really didn't kind of gain mainstream traction until 2007, so it's still fairly new. In the e-commerce space, it's very commonly used, but the nonprofit space, we're really just starting to see people dig in and start to use it. But it really took off with Facebook custom audiences, because you can target people on their social networks based on if they visited your website, and it's expanded from there. You can retarget people through emails, such as the most common example that you'll see of that is cart abandonment emails in e-commerce. So if you've ever gone to a website, you've added a few items to your cart and then walked away, maybe an hour later or the next day, you've received an email from that website saying, hey, you still have some items in your cart. We'll give you 5% off if you still want to buy them, kind of as an incentive to get you to take that action. And that's how retargeting works, is it looks at people on your website and it tries to bring them back. We're going to talk specifically about the different types of retargeting that you should use to work your way through the donor engagement cycle. So the donor engagement cycle, there's lots of different versions out there. I'm going to use this one because it's simple and I believe it's easy to understand. So step one is inspire. You want people to be inspired by your mission. Step two is to educate them on ways that they can get involved and support your mission. Step three is ask for the donation. And step four is thank them. So stage one, inspire, as I said, this is where people don't know your mission, they don't know your organization, and you want to get them engaged. You want them to make a great first impression, which is a challenge online. On average, almost 50% of people expect your website to load in 2 seconds, but recent research has shown that they actually make an impression and decide whether they trust your website in 50 milliseconds. So that's not a typo there. It's not supposed to be a half a second. That is 0.05 seconds. So new visitors to your website really need to be engaged with design. They really need something that catches their attention right away. And characteristics of users in this stage is that they're generally the first-time visitor. They've been browsing the web and somehow they landed on your website, but they don't really know anything about you. They're looking for a cause that they can stand with. And recent research shows that people are more loyal to causes than they are to organizations. So getting your mission out, getting your visions and showing them, or your values, and showing them what they are right up front is really important, because people want to support organizations that align with their values. So as we saw, they have a short attention span. They're making a decision on your organization in well under a second, and they don't want to put in a lot of effort yet. So they want to make sure that your organization, your values support their values before they're willing to invest time, money, and energy into your organization. So how you inspire new users? You do that through visual design. You've really got to capture their attention right off the bat. And then you lead with compelling stories. So at this stage, people are looking for an emotional connection. You don't necessarily want to hit them with a lot of facts and figures and numbers. Right off the bat, you want them to build an affinity towards your mission. You want them to see the impact that you're having. And we highly recommend that you offer a message specifically for first-time visitors. And you can do that through website retargeting, which Journity is great at. It allows you to provide messages based on things like first-time visits. So to build your strategy here, what you're going to find is a lot of this takes place off your website. So a person comes, they have an initial visit, they're thinking about it, they go away. Here's where you want to reach out into their communities, their online communities where they're spending their time. So you want to create custom audiences to be able to send ads specifically to them on Facebook. You can use retargeting for search ads through Google, and you can also use other networks like AdRoll for display advertising or native advertisements. At this point, I do think it's important to note that mobile is becoming more and more important, especially for things like Facebook, where people are always checking it on their phone. So everything you do, we want to make sure it looks good on a mobile device and that it also supports your mission. So now that people they've seen your inspiring stories, they've seen the impact that your organization has, it's time to educate them. So on average, it takes 7 brand interactions before users make a decision. Salespeople will tell you that it takes 8 calls before somebody responds. So you want to keep sending this message through different channels so that they see it over and over again. And the key here is to make sure that you provide consistent messaging around your mission. So the characteristics of users in stage 2, they have an affinity for your cause. Right? People are loyal to the cause, but they're not necessarily loyal to specific organizations. So you know that they have an affinity towards your cause. They've interacted with your ads. So hopefully, maybe they've watched some of your videos that you put out. They've read some of your blog posts. Maybe they've listened to a few podcasts. They've visited your site several times, but they don't know what the next steps are. So users who are inspired, which we did in the first step, are ready to act, but they need to know what the next step is. And this is a time for what I call micro engagement opportunities. And that's things like sign up for emails or sign an online petition or come to an event. You could also add in, post a social media post or share a post that you've made. I really like this example from Revive Our Hearts. They have the True Woman Manifesto, and you'll see they have it laid out here really simple. They have why it's important. Then you can actually read the manifesto. And the next step, this micro engagement, is just sign it, right? So that's a very easy thing. There's a low barrier. They're not making any real commitment in terms of financial commitment, time commitment, that type of thing. They're just saying, this looks great, I support it by signing it. And then they have a logical next step, which is resources to help get them started and move further down the road. So to build a strategy in the educate phase, you want to look at your opportunities and your audience opportunities. So you can look at, if you have in-person events coming up, you may want to focus on geolocation data. A great example of this is here in Rochester. We have a rescue mission that they do a concert series at the public market, which the public market is a iconic Rochester farmers market, and you just have to bring a can of food to get in. So it's really low barrier to entry. It's a fun, high energy event, but it gets people aware of their cause, and it gets people supporting their cause. You can use tag segments. So this is great for online activity. If you see that people are coming from Facebook, you can group them in a Facebook segment and then make your cause or make your micro conversion something like share this post on Facebook, or fill out our Facebook poll, or sign our Facebook petition, join our Facebook study group, that type of thing, where that these people in this segment are already interacting, they're already spending their time on Facebook, and so it's very likely that they'll convert. You can also use content affinity. This is a tag that Journey uses that shows you what people are doing on your website, what types of things they like. An example of this is you might find that there's a segment of people that really like reading the data that you have about your cause, the data about your mission, and you may want to send them a special message to invite them to help you edit your next report that comes out. So we have all this data compiled, we need somebody to proofread it, or we need somebody to actually help us collect the data and sort through it. That they're already really interested in the data you have to offer. It would be a great fit for them to join in and engage with your organization. All right, and now we're on to stage 3, which is the ask. This is where the money comes in. This is where people put their money where their mouth is, so to speak. In this stage, you have people that they've been inspired by your mission, and they've been educated so that they know how to act on your mission. They know how you guys are acting on your mission and the impact that they can have. Now is the time to take it up just one more level, and right here, picking the right moment is key. Pairing your personalization, all of your data from your retargeting with the perfect timing is critical to creating a successful campaign. And I reference down here that Blackbaud actually recently put out a white paper on this topic, about what moments are. It is a great resource that it literally just came out. I recommend you guys checking it out later on. But the characteristics of users in this stage are they're highly engaged users. So they've been inspired again in stage 1. They've been educated in stage 2. Now they're really engaged with your brand. They made those micro conversions. And Journey offers engagement scores, so you can actually see how engaged they are with your website and your content. And then you should also have these segments about what conversions they've completed, whether they've signed up for your email list, or they've signed your petition, they've signed your manifesto, that type of thing. You'll be able to know how to reach out to them. All right, the timing here can relate around several different things. So it could be a seasonal ask, such as Giving Tuesday or year end. These are times that people expect to give, and they're already engaged in your organization. Or it could relate to a specific organizational need. So if you're a rescue mission and you're raising money for Thanksgiving meals, or maybe you have a conference coming up that you want to get people to attend, asking in a timely fashion as it relates to kind of a start and end date of the campaign is important, so people can see what you're moving towards. And this could also relate to a broader social movement. The Millennial Impact Report found that nearly a quarter of millennials decided that they were going to donate to organizations after the election, because it was such a polarizing moment in our history. Of these, 40% 41%, so almost half of them, were giving for the very first time. So if you can find, you know, broader social movements, broader social moments, and respond to those, then it's a big opportunity to raise donations. But above all, your ask should be related directly to your mission, because people are focused on how your mission and how your values line up with their values. So as they've gone through each of these stages, they've been assessing, you know, is this the organization I want to support because it's going to have the biggest impact for my cause? So you want to make sure that your ask relates directly to your mission. Building an ask strategy is really looking for the logical next steps. You know, it should be driven around the timing, whether that's seasonal, whether that's around your organizational needs. You know, if you're expanding and you say, we're creating a second shelter or a third shelter, and we need to do this fundraising, or it could be, and it should be driven by the data that you've collected over time. So if people have, you know, if people are not living in your area, you don't want to ask them to come to a fundraising event in person, because that shows that you haven't been following them. It's not a personal approach. And it should be timely. An example, it should have a start and a stop time for your ask. An example of this, of one that's not timely, is I've lived in Rochester for over 10 years. And when I first moved here, there was an organization building a sports complex full of adaptive technology for people with special needs and abilities. And I hear them make an ask on the radio every year since. So as far as I know, they don't know when it's going to be built. There's no context in the radio ad as to how much more they need, how it's going, what's taking so long. So it's a cause that, you know, I'm all for. I like sports. I like making sure that everybody can participate in sports. But because it's not a timely ask, I don't know, it could even be a scam, because it just goes on forever. So you want to make sure you have a start and a stop, a reason that you're asking, and that reason ties right into your mission. And then lastly, once somebody does donate, you want to thank them. And donor retention rates are at a mere 45%. So less than half of the new donors that you gained this year are going to come back and donate on average. And 53% of the donors who leave an organization, they said they do so because of poor communication. And one of the top reasons was that they were never thanked for their donation. So don't forget your manners. You know, please and thank you, just like Ron Swanson says. So the characteristics of the users in this stage are that they've donated money to one or more of your fundraising campaigns. That's the defining moment that moves them into stage 4. So you want to build a thank you strategy. It's important to make it personal. So it's good to broadcast out, you know, thank you at the end of all of your campaigns, just a general thank you. But when somebody comes to your website who you know donated, they're in one of your segments, they've been tagged as a donor, make sure you make a personal thank you with a message that says, thank you for giving to this specific campaign. Then you want to thank them across multiple channels. So you want to send out emails to everyone that donated to thank them. You want to have the messaging on your website. When they come back, you want to recognize them and send out a personal message on the website. And I would also even recommend going as far as creating retargeting ads, because going all the way through the process from stage 1 versus retaining a donor, it's so much easier to spend a few dollars to thank them on Facebook, give them a personal thank you, than it is to start all the way at the beginning again with a new donor. And lastly, you want to make sure that you show the impact their gift has, because as we said, their goal in supporting you is seeing that their cause has been furthered. So a little bit about Journity and 5Q. Last year, we helped nonprofits build strong relationships with over 40 million people. We've done this by increasing donations, expanding email lists, better attended events, and enhanced website experiences through engagement. And as I said at the very beginning, our mission is to help you multiply your impact. So we hope that if you're not using Journity, if you're not familiar with 5Q, you take a look and see firsthand how we can help you multiply your impact. And you can do that by going to journey.com, scheduling a demo. The demo is free. We will be able to talk specifically about your organization and how Journey can impact each stage of the donor cycle, and we'll help you implement it as well. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all of that wonderful information, Josh. Again, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the Q&A box at the bottom, and we'll start answering them as we go. First question, what are some initial simple steps to take to get started with retargeting?
So there are two things that I recommend. One, you probably already have a Facebook page, probably already doing some Facebook marketing. I would recommend checking to make sure you have the Facebook pixel installed so you can start building custom audiences and marketing to those custom audiences. And then two, I'm recommending that you go to journey.com, schedule a demo, and you'll have a one-on-one opportunity for us to assess your site, assess your programs that you're trying to support, and then we'll be able to give you, specific detailed plans to help you implement it on your site for website retargeting.
Awesome. Another question, can you take a minute and explain Journity, and how does Journity help with retargeting?
Yes, Journity is a website personalization platform, and it's designed specifically for nonprofits. And what it does is it allows you to implement really most of the stuff that we talked about today, any of the on-site messaging. So if you want to create a message that only shows to new users, you can do that through Journity, either through a pop-up style overlay, or it can be embedded directly into your site so that it looks exactly like a part of your website, and nobody knows that it's a special message, or nobody knows that it's a separate message. And then that can change when they come back a second time. You don't want to give them the welcome message. You want to give them the next step message. And so Journity can track all of that and build the profiles for you to send those messages as needed.
If anybody else has questions, go ahead and put them right in there. Otherwise, we're going to start wrapping up. I don't see any coming in right now. If you guys have more questions, go ahead and go to journey.com, and you can get in contact with any of us, and we'll help you, and we can give you more information about retargeting your way through the donor cycle. Again, thank you for attending today. We're so excited that you were here. A big thank you from the whole team at 5Q, and we hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day.